Yeah, so MAUVAIS are predominantly men's clothing brand. Recently launched women's too. So that launched in 2018. This year we should just about finish on 7.5 million in revenue. So we started as more of a wholesale brand. So we used to sell into the likes of ASOS, Foot Asylum, independent stores. So when I first launched the brand in 2018, I actually worked with one of the buyers at ASOS to develop the brand, and we actually launched the first collection on there. Grew really well in wholesale, and then in about 2020, kind of coinciding with COVID, made the decision that because of cancelled orders and the risk factor behind working with wholesalers, and it's kind of in their hands, not yours, we just decided to move away from the wholesale market and just to fully focus on our online website. And that's where we've seen some really good growth, particularly over the last 2 years. And that's been through going on paid ads through social media, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. That's where we've seen some large growth in places like the USA, where 65% of our revenue comes from. And that kind of brings us to where we are today, really, just growing the team since then. We're at 12 at the minute in the office. We were done 5 million with about 3 or 4 staff. Actually, this time, February last year, there's only 2 people in the team. Yeah, so I've just kind of used the last year to grow the team. We use third-party logistics company for our distribution and warehousing, which has been really, really good for our growth, because it's meant that we've not needed to kind of focus on that side of the business and take energy away from actually building the brand, which has been really, really helpful. But going back actually 2018, the first year, I was in my parents' house dispatching orders, packing orders from on my bed, and I think it was about 6 months down the line is when we started using 3PL, and yes, just been really helpful. I'm really close with the guys who run it there, so it's been really helpful. I think the brand, what we stand for, is aspirational, wanting to be successful. The product we do is we really focus on the details, the high quality fabrics, just the overall quality. Where I want a brand where if that you had a t-shirt that you saw in Selfridges or Harrods, that ours would sit next to it, and the quality would be near enough the same, but we're charging way less, high quality or premium looking products, but at a way more affordable price, because no one can afford, or very little people can afford, £1,000 Gucci outfit and wear it twice, and then it's a statement and they can't wear it again. So we've not really done any collaboration stuff, but we've had lots of really cool people who've kind of endorsed our brand, like people like Jamie Foxx, NFL stars, NBA players, UFC, lots of American sports stars and American people, which has been amazing. In terms of like projects, what about like the fact that we're trying to localizing websites and just trying to move into new territories and things like that. That's something we're doing. So we're working with a company called Globally to grow into Europe, which will help with taxes and import duty and stuff in Europe. And then we're also localizing our US website again, which will help further our growth there. There's a lot of opportunity. I think there's big emphasis around really building our brand story, and alongside that, we've just hired a really good e-com trader manager, which will be helping with the localization of sites. But also there's lots of other initiatives like increasing conversion rate on site, which will help drive additional revenue, but reducing our ad spend, because the more people on site who convert, the cheaper the ads cost, because less people are bouncing. And then just around lots more content that are kind of relatable to the different geographical areas, UK, US, and then Europe. I think Europe's a massive opportunity. It's so untapped. We think there's huge opportunity there. Just looking at some of our competitors and how they've grown their women's, we've only just just got started on that journey. We think that could be massive. I think the biggest challenge is supply chain in China. Well, China, Turkey, there's lots of delays. China are still having lockdowns with COVID. Both China and Turkey, there's huge inflation on raw materials, which is driving the price up, which is then in turn made us have to increase our pricing, which could cause some friction with the customer. When people ask us a lot on social media, we're very, very transparent that our costs are going up, and as a small brand, that we have no choice but to pass on some of those costs. In terms of as far as sustainability becomes, we believe that creating really, really good product that can stand the test of time is the way we're being sustainable. We're not throwaway fashion. We want people to buy our stuff and to wear it over and over again for multiple seasons and years. Not to kind of get ruined in the wash, etc. Whereas other brands like Boohoo and all those type of people, it's you wear it twice and it's got a hole in it. I've always massively been into business as a kid. I think from the age of 8, 9, and 10, I was selling stuff on Amazon and eBay. I was reading coding books for websites. So I was getting bought them for Christmas by my mum. My mum was in marketing as well, and then when the e-com boom was starting, my mum would always talk about it. So I was around that a lot. And same with my granddad was in business and stuff like that, so it'd be in conversation. I then in my teenage years, I got into football. I actually used to Jamie Waite, I think when I was about 11 or 12, used to coach me. But then so I then wanted to pursue a career in football, so I left school at 16, done that for a couple of years. But at that time, I realized that football wasn't the avenue for me. I think I probably wasn't good enough. So I set up actually a clothing brand up when I was 17 years old, which was different to the one I'm doing now. Had no experience in fashion, and I used to print on t-shirts. Used to go to like a local wholesalers and just screen print. Done that for about a year. Started to learn how to use design stuff like Illustrator, Photoshop, how tech packs work to send to factories. Started to source factories at certain places and just make connections and open doors. And then 2 years, I think, after 2 years after launching the brand, or 3 years, I got a bit of a break with ASOS, and then one of the buyers really liked my stuff, and then launched the brand onto ASOS. And it was at that kind of time, I think after a couple of years with ASOS, then I'd built a really good relationship with the buyer, and at the time it was gymwear clothing, and I kind of thought it was very niche, and it could only get so big, I thought. And that's when me and the buyer at ASOS said, look, let's start a new brand, which was MAUVAIS, which had a lot more longevity on it. And that's kind of where the journey's been and how MAUVAIS started. I think I'm very flexible. I'm fairly laid back, but not to the point where people take the piss. I think I'm being very good at people have seen my journey and have got on board with the mission of what we need to get to. And I think I've done a really good job of getting everyone to feel like it's their business as well. So everyone's working together, and everyone it really means something to everyone. I'm very transparent across everything. So every single person in the team has access to all our sales figures. They don't have the P&L, but seeing what we do every day in terms of sales, and I think that's really important because people can get excited when we have a drop day, when we launch on Black Friday. Everyone's watching the screen and seeing how much money we're doing. I'm flexible in the sense that if people need to head off for an hour to I don't know, they've got an appointment, you're very, very relaxed as long as they're doing their job, which I think is really important, because I feel like if you're too strict, people just get to the point where they're like, oh, they don't want to work, or they then get stressed out and stuff. So I think it's important to create an environment where everyone is happy, which is the most important thing. The goal of being a £50 million revenue business, build out a large team with lots of different functions, over the next couple of years, which we don't have at the minute. Again, just build a global brand.